introduce yourself.
I'm MeriS, and I'm a senior in PM design, and this is my Zenith presentation. So I did an investigation of textile illustration with inspiration from the senior design movie poster project. So my project objective was to explore and expand beyond the boundaries of traditional mediums to produce illustrations by experimenting with layering of fabric and how to showcase depth on like a mainly 2D surface, like trying to show a 3D space using 2D materials. And so my main inspiration and where I got the idea to do textile illustrations was from this artist, Martin Smetana. And I found his project through Pinterest, which is actually a book that he put together titled A Year of Good News. And basically what he did is he found positive stories during the year of the pandemic, and he made illustrations of them to kind of bring light to a otherwise darker time. And so I wanted to take inspiration from the lightheartedness and playfulness of each illustration, because as you can see, the characters are just really happy and cute, and you can see his style really come through with it. And I liked this because it's less of like with a typical illustration where you're drawing, you have to shade to do depth, whereas this, it's like the physical form of the materials you're using to show depth. And so I wanted to do something similar, but I wanted to bring to life scenes from my make-believe movie, which was what the movie poster project was for, which I will show you now. Oh, well, first, this is a little bit more about the artist. This is him creating one of his illustrations. And yeah, he's an animator and artist who works primarily with textiles and paper. And he studied animation and is based in Slovakia. And he's done a lot of work for magazines and things like that, and he's won over 60 awards for his work. So this was my mood board for my movie poster project, and I took a lot of inspiration from Wes Anderson, and I knew that I wanted to kind of have my story focus on, in a way, just like a similar to what I want to do career-wise, which is production design. So the main character follows this young girl who wants to grow up to become a production designer. She has this journal where she draws her ideas and has them in this book, and then one day she wakes up and the journal is missing, only to find that her drawings and ideas have become reality, and so she must go on this journey to find the journal in order to restore the universe. And so the next slide shows my final poster. And yeah, I used this cohesive color scheme with emphasis on the girl by using darker toned colors. And yeah, this was the final movie poster. And now we'll get into what I did for the Zenith and how I built off of this. So step one was my sketches and mood board. So this is the mood board that I planned out, and these are all Martin Smetana's illustrations. And so I knew I wanted to do one where it had focus on an actual scene from my movie, one where it was like a character pack, so it kind of focuses on the possessions of one of the characters being the main character, and then also one focused on kind of the setting, so I did something focused on the bedrooms. So in this sketch here, it shows the final drawing that I did before I layered the fabric on top of the end scene where they're finding the journal. And yeah, and this was all layered on top of foam core that was actually recycled foam core from all the layered stuff for the senior showcase later on. Yeah, perfect. And then here's another one of my sketches, which the quality is a little bad because it was very large, so it's hard to get a good picture of all of them, but it was kind of a general idea of having 3 bedrooms all side by side, and yeah. So then my step 2 was assembling and layering. So this is one where it showcases kind of my process. So I started off by creating the little characters. I used a lot of felt and then also pattern fabric. I also used a lot of fabric that I had collected from like old clothes and stuff like that, so that it would vary the texture. And you can kind of see how I went through with a couple different ideas, but I didn't end up going through with like this green color at the bottom. I ended up changing it, and just kind of how I just cut and experimented to layer and see what looked best. And then step 3, these are my finished pieces. So this is the first illustration, which was the character pack, which I have them all here, which I'll show after. So this one I wanted to focus on the main character and kind of showcasing her clothes and the possessions that she has, and kind of bringing to life what makes her unique. So I have a lot of fun patterns that are all following the same color scheme, and a lot of things focused on art and music, since that's what she's really interested in. And then my second one was showcasing the 3 bedrooms of the 3 main characters. And this one was very hard for me because I was struggling to deal with depth, because I wanted to kind of, junior year when you're experimenting on Illustrator with all those projects where you're trying to show the depth with the bedroom design. I don't know if you did that.
Linear perspective.
Yes, linear perspective, thank you. It was hard to do that because it was cutting fabric versus having the lines automatically drawn with the computer. But overall, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. There are some parts that are a little wonky, but I think it kind of adds to the general style of the pieces. And yeah. And then my final illustration is the end scene where they're finding the book. And yeah, so this showcases the 3 characters, the main character being in the middle, and kind of this very colorful environment. And I tried my best to focus on the color scheme I had planned, which is also a really hard part for me because I could only do so much with all the fabrics that I had. I wasn't able to like make my own fabrics and design to make it so that it was like all the specific colors I wanted, but I tried my best to match them so that they would all flow together. And yeah, so what I learned, art cannot be rushed. This was definitely a tedious process that I did not anticipate to take as long, just for cutting and gluing and all of that. I wanted to actually end up animating part of it, so I wanted to do like have the book page turn and stuff like that, but I didn't get to that part, but I'm still really happy with how they came out. And also, don't be afraid to explore beyond your comfort zone. This project was obviously not listed in the typical Zenith projects, but I really wanted to do something that could kind of combine film with design, since that's what I want to do in the future. And so I thought this was a fun way to do that. And definitely be realistic in terms of deadlines and timing in general. That, like what Ava was saying about being on time with stuff, that was hard, but in the end, I pulled it all together, and I'm pretty happy with how it came out. And yeah.
Okie dokie.
Thank you. And I'll show you my.
Yes, let's see them in real life.
And I can.
Are they pass aroundable?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, another thing that was difficult was finding the right glue.
So
some of these, like this piece, actually, I think I'm gonna leave here because it was coming off. But yeah, I actually ended up using hot glue for a lot of things because it made it so that it was attached the most, because there's a lot of layered
especially
fabric.
for fabric.
Yeah, I'll show it to the video. And yes, so this is the character pack.
Adorable.
And then my second one, which is the largest one. And all of these were just like pre-cut sizes that I was like, I'm just gonna go ahead and go with it because it kind of went with my idea and that I had in mind. And so yeah, I just went with that. And I really like this one because I just love decorating my own room, so it's kind of fun to just create whole new bedrooms and stuff like that. So yeah, there's this one. And then my final one, which I really like the colors that I used for this one, and it was really fun to actually put together the characters, whereas before it was just kind of focusing on their possessions and things like that. But yeah, and I really like this bird that I made. I just randomly sketched it, and then now it's my favorite thing on it. So yeah.
Funny how that worked out.
All right.
All right, let's have some comments and questions.
Anjali?
I really love seeing the final product, watching you work on it so diligently in class, and you're so determined, and I just love seeing the final product. I think it really showcases you, and I love the burger.
Thank you. Ava?
I really like seeing it all come together to make like watching you in class. I could see like, oh, you make those little faces of the people. Like when you explained it to me, I couldn't actually like grasp, but seeing it in person, like I love to see it. And I love how it kind of flowed together in like your class process. I love that.
Thank you.
Juniors, let's hear some comments. Juniors, let's hear some comments. All right, Caleb, we can roll with while juniors are thinking.
I like your dog.
Oh, thank you. Mm-hmm.
I think you struck a really good balance between detail and simplicity.
Thank you.
Yeah.
A good point, very good point. Come on, Jack, you're usually good at this.
Yeah.
Yes, and I just want to say I really appreciate the effort. I think I can tell you put a lot of work into this, and I think the outcome is amazing. So keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Okay, let's give a round of applause to Mary.
Thank you.
Well done, well done.